this whole lesson is going to be about planning, because I feel like sometimes we can do all the work and we can get all the marketing skills, all the stuff, but unless we sit down and plan and see what works and see what's not working and see what's burning us out and not burning us out and actually set tangible goals, we're really not going to make it very far because it can just be like you're just constantly working on the edge of your seat, which is very, very, very frustrating. So, we're going to actually start with figuring out a vision. So, what does it look like for us? Trying to get this moved over. What does it look like for us throughout the entire year? So, I actually have a ton of notes for this. So you guys see me looking down, so what I'm looking at. But the key point of this is you can't hit a target that you haven't defined, right? So the Proverbs 31 woman, she always had a plan. She built, she invested super wisely. So vision is something that starts not only with the clarity that you need and you want, but it also starts with prayer. So we are going to be talking about like kind of praying into stuff, and that's going to be super helpful. So in the chat and like the discussion, tell me what is like your big picture for your business? Like what would make you say that this was like a successful year for you? Would it be hitting a certain number? Would it be paying off debt? Would it be seeing a certain amount of clients? Would it be just opening up something? What would that look like? And I want to see that in the chat because once we can kind of define what is like somewhat, I guess, of success for us, you have almost like a means of being able to know where to go, knowing that we've been successful every step of the way. But that way you have some type of vision of like where you want to go. Almost think of like maybe like a vision board or something. Like, what does that look like? Okay. Um, Let me see. And then also, let's talk about the vision is not just numbers in the sense, it's what do you want your life to feel like? Like, do you want to have more time at home? Maybe you do want a better work-life balance where you can take weekends off. And, maybe you are that person who's like, I actually do want to be fully booked and crazy busy. And so, like, what does that look like? Are you somebody who, like, I don't want to have to constantly marketing. I want to be running a business that is kind of flowing on its own on stuff I already have set up. Maybe you're somebody's like, I really want to have a business that's super systemized. What does that look like for you? And then I kind of want you guys to think about like a word or maybe a theme that God is placing on your heart for your business. Is there something where you're like, you know what? I actually want to be able to tithe more. Instead of my normal 10% I give, maybe I want to give 20%. Maybe I want to work more in my church or work more, like serve more somewhere. Maybe you want your business to be part of that. So think about like what do you want your business to feel like? And this is going to help you immensely to kind of see what that looks like. I don't know if you guys like whenever I was getting my business degrees, we always had to come up with like vision statements and like mission statements, and it would drive me nuts. But I made a million. And so like a vision is really what you would see yourself like 5 years from now, 3 years from something that is like you could look through like a telescope or whatever if you're hunting at scopes and you're like looking and you're like you can see far away. Like what does that look like? What is the picture that's there? That's where we just need to be starting to think about like a vision. So I hope that makes sense. Did anybody put in the chat, because I can't see chats, what would look like for you as a discussion or not a discussion, as a, I just
So
forgot the word I was here.
consistency
Consistency.
with work-life balance while making enough to build my school as well. Okay, school. That's amazing.
I love that. And you said patience. Yes. Patience is definitely a virtue. I believe patience is one of the fruit of the spirit, right? I honestly, it also with the consistency part, something that we definitely need to remember is that everything in business, every step of the way in business, it's a consistent thing, is that you have to remain consistent. We're not in a microwave society, in a microwave business. We're in a business that waits a slow roast here. McNeil says, gain clientele, be fully booked, financial freedom, flexibility with my family, and bless others. Absolutely love that. Also, something you can think about is what fully booked looks like to you. Because I remember when I was a solo and I would be like, fully booked is 4 appointments a day for me, 5 days a week. But I would talk to other people and they out here working like 12-hour days, taking a client every single hour. And then like your fully booked is a lot more than my fully booked. So what does your fully booked look like? Financial freedom. I love that flexibility to be with family. I think personally for me, the flexibility, especially after I had my daughter, was like everything to be with my family. Um, and then I actually put like an exercise you guys can do with this at a different time, but imagine like you are creating like a future journal entry. What are you telling yourself? Like, what have you won? What have you done? Like that you're celebrating in your journal, right? You're writing it about like in a year, what does it look like? Do I want you to describe what your business looks like a year from now? So like the services you offer, what kind of income have you earned? And like, are you at peace? Are you enjoying your business? Like, what does that look like from a year from now? Because we can be in a place where we absolutely hate our business and you're like, I actually kind of want to ditch it. Like, I want to leave. I don't want to do this anymore. But if we have a vision that's moving us towards more peace, what does that look like for you? And Shay said, yes, flexibility is so important for me as well. Yes. I love when I think about flexibility too, is like that was actually one of the reasons I created my membership a long time ago was because my husband and I used to travel a lot. And you would be booked out 8 weeks out. And I'd be like, I need like 2 months in advance to decide what I'm doing. And so I needed more of a flexibility. So I love that. Those are great, guys. All right. So let's talk about setting some tangible goals. So vision, okay, so I wrote this down. Vision without structure is just a dream. So if you're creating a vision and you're like, I love this, this is a dream, but you have no means of actually reaching that, what are we doing? So we actually have to create like tangible, measurable goals to get us there. Because I want you to picture like this is like a line, okay? And you have a little itty bitty needle that is just moving slowly to whatever this end goal is, okay? And everything that you do in your business every single day, whether it is creating something new or having a service of following up with that client for the fourth time, that is moving your needle, that little needle, so even just a millimeter closer to whatever that end goal is. So, kind of figuring out like, what are your goals? And let's break that down little by little. I'm going to give you guys kind of some examples, but you may have to break this down even by numbers or just kind of like tangible things you can do. Okay. So let's first define 3 core business goals. So I want you to think about the vision, right? You have this vision and you're like, I want to have $100,000 a year. You then need to break that down to what that looks like every single month. Then you need to break that down to what it looks like every week, to every hour. And then you're like, okay, well, how many clients does that take? Basically, you can figure out what your clients essentially are like worth. Like if you have an average, if say one person spends $200, the other person spends, $400, whatever that middle is, like $300 would be like your middle person, right? I don't even know if that's right math. We'll go with it. That would be like your middle price of average price. How many clients do I need to see at $300 to get me to that number? Okay. If you guys understand that or don't understand that, please put that in the chat and let me know. But also maybe you have client goals and you're just like, I am struggling. I have one client that rebooks all the time. Maybe in 6 months, I want to have 10 clients that are regular. Like, what does that look like? Maybe you're somebody who works somewhere else and you have to. This was actually when I had to, so I was in the military. I was an engineer and I had to replace my income with my sales job. So I get my husband and I out. And basically, it sounds like we were in jail. We were not in jail, but we did not want to be in the military anymore. And so I basically had to figure out what that number looked like, how many clients I needed to see, how much product I needed to sell consistently to allow my husband and I to leave the military and be able to replace that income plus some so that we could both do what we really wanted to do. So maybe you're thinking like, I need to leave my full-time job to be a full-time esthetician. What does that look like? And essentially you just need to break that down all the way down to like retail, down to your services, whatever. And that way, if you're like, you know what, I really don't sell a ton of retail, but if I sold this much retail, it would help me get to the next place. Then you can break down, okay, what do I need to learn next? So it's going to help you reach those tangible goals if you understand exactly what it looks like, all the way down to the very bare minimum. Okay. Once you understand that, you can then like break stuff down into weekly actions. So let's say that you are like, you know what, I want to hit that $100,000, but I know that I need 20 clients every single month, or sorry, every single week to hit that number. Just throwing that out there, team. Okay. You need to hit that number. Well, what are tangible things that you have to do every single day, every single week to get you there? All right. So if you like, I need more clients, you need to then be marketing. Okay. So maybe you're going to be slowly be growing your Instagram, but maybe you're also getting plugged into the community. And then maybe every Tuesday, you're like, this is the day that I follow up with clients. I call them about their skincare, or I call them to get them to rebook, or whatever it is to follow up. And you have that set so that, like, this week I do this. Maybe week 2, you're sending out a text and email about getting referrals. And then maybe week 3, you're talking about your referral system on social media. And you're doing this every single month consistently. That's where this consistency comes in, so that you can hit those goals. I hope that is like kind of making everybody understand like what I mean, because there's so many goals. Everybody's goals are so different, so it's hard to break that down. So, okay, so I have a little exercise, but basically what you can do is, say you're somebody who's like, you know what, I want you want to hit certain like quarterly milestones, or you want to hit a goal. Basically what you can do is you put like your goal is to book 20 standing monthly clients by December. Okay. That means that each quarter you're like, you can track, what does that look like? Okay, I had 10 regular clients this quarter. Then maybe quarter 2, you hit 14 regular clients. And you're kind of just checking in consistently to see what's working and what's not working. But that is kind of how you go through your tangible goals to understand like breaking those things down. And I talked about it a second ago, but the monthly micro goals would be like, how many services do I need to sell? You know, maybe your like specialty is in Brazilians. What does that look like? How many Brazilians do you need to perform to get to that number? And if you're like, oh my gosh, that is 4,622 Brazilians, maybe then we can break that down into, what if we looked at selling retail? What if we looked at selling packages or add-ons? I mean, I know I talked about it a few weeks ago, but if you literally have like 4 clients in a day, or even in a week, purchase $25 worth of add-ons, that's an extra $100 a week times 4, that's $400 a week. If you do that daily, y'all, you be out here making some money. That's an easy way to make a few extra $1,000. So those are kind of how you can break down some of your tangible goals. I saw a chat, but it went away for me again. Oh, here we go.
Oh, I included your Instagram in the chat.
Oh, sweet, thanks. Anybody, if you have any questions about tangible goals, please don't hesitate to like hop on or any
I
of
have a
this.
question. What resonates with you guys? And sorry if it goes into your teaching a little bit. What I would love to for you guys to either put it in the chat or turn on your mics. What are tangible goals for you guys? Mine is always like, I'm like, if I open this door, I need to make a minimum of 500 to 1,000 a day.
But then what does that micro goal look like? You know, like how many services does that break down to?
So it's 4 services, and then everybody takes home 3 products.
Perfect. Love that.
So
That's what I'm talking about,
when I'm
guys.
looking at my day, I'm like, okay, this person has oily skin, because I'm also reviewing my client intake form. So I'm actually picking a total of 5 products that they're leaving, and then they look at it and I'm like, well, if you're not gonna take them all, then I'll take out the other 2. These are the ones I do recommend.
Love that. Love that. But I also love the confidence talking about retail, because I feel like retail is definitely something people are usually scared of talking about.
Does anybody want to put a tangible goal in the chat? It's okay. Okay, we'll go next. Sorry.
Okay. There you go. We'll move on. All right, let's go to move this over here. Let's go to evaluate and align. Okay, so the Proverbs 31 woman, she considers her work. Okay, so we need to pause and look at what's working and what isn't, and what needs to shift. And did I just see a chat come in, Maria? I want to make sure I hit it.
My tangible goal is to make goals. Actually, that is a great goal.
Great one. That is a good, fantastic goal.
I used to listen to this motivational podcast, and he said, if you don't have a purpose, your purpose is to find your purpose.
That is so true. And I think that like that definitely starts at where you are with like a vision, like knowing why you are doing something.
Yes, honestly,
I love that.
And the thing about that is like knowing that you have to create tangible goals, you're opening up the door and you're starting the conversation, which is so powerful, because in like a week, you're going to be like, look at all my goals. that you didn't even think about having. That's so exciting.
Exactly. And honestly, when you think about like goals at the end of the day, right? When you are like sick or when something is happening and you're just like, I don't want to do this. Or maybe you're someone who's, struggling with mental health, or you're just something's happened, you're overwhelmed and you're like, I don't want to do this, right? I don't want to have this happen. Like oh my gosh. When you remember or you have like your reason in front of you all the time in your goal of what it just helps immensely to just do that one little thing that's going to help you move to that goal. Like when I was talking about that needle, what can you do today that's going to help that move that needle just a little bit to get you to that goal? Even if it feels super insignificant, it's very significant. Not only does it help you build confidence in yourself, because confidence to me is like when you're constantly keeping promises to yourself. That's how you build confidence a lot of the times. And so especially if you struggle with it. So definitely, I love that. Goals are so important. And thank you for sharing that because that was great. All right. So let's move into evaluate and align. So I want you guys to think, even not just about your last year. Okay. I want you to think about your services, promotions, your clients. If they're not cool, they can, there's the door, you know what I'm saying? But for real though, like think about the last year. What did you enjoy and what you didn't? What didn't you enjoy? I remember when I first became a solo, I was all about waxing. I should not have been about waxing. I was very bad at waxing and I didn't enjoy it. It hurt my back. It stressed me out. I didn't want to do Brazilians, but I did them and I hated it. And so like I eventually was like, I've got to stop or I'm gonna quit. Like it was horrible. And so I realized and figured out what I did like to do. And that was something like where I loved doing I love doing facials. I love doing corrective and relaxation. And so like that was something that helped me view like where I wanted my vision to go or where I wanted my goals to lead to, because I wasn't doing something that just drained me. Okay. So look back at your last year. I want you to look at what was the most profitable and what was the most booked. And then once you look at what was most profitable, of course, if we're like, we just did profits here, like honestly, my profits were pretty bad, then maybe look at what was the most booked and think about why was it the most booked? Is it because maybe that service is something that excites you a lot and you talk about it a lot? Is it something maybe that just naturally people kind of gravitated to? Like, why did it remain booked? And then I want you to think about your promotions. What flopped? What drained you? What did great? I know Maria and I have talked about this a few times about like how we've had promotions that didn't do so hot, but my very first time I did a Black Friday, it was so bad, literally so bad. And I had one person buy. Anytime I see her name was Ryan, and she was fantastic, and she purchased. And I literally look back like, why was it so bad? Like, why? I didn't plan it. I didn't do well with it. It was just kind of a last minute throw together. And it was just a really bad promotion. But the next year, I was able to do it better because I was able to review it. And then think about this one's actually my favorite things. Other than taking out waxing, my favorite things that I did in my business was figure out what clients light me up. The ones that I'm so excited to see, the ones that make my heart so happy that I'm like, yes, I get to see her again. And the ones that stress me out, the ones where I'm like, I wish I had an employee because, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this one. Who are those? And you can strategically and kindly kind of like move those clients out. But think about it in the sense of like, what is going to make you excited? Like you are the business owner, okay? You get to choose who is on your treatment table. You get to choose who's in your chair. So choose that wisely because you would rather fill that up with people that give you just like energy and light you up and you're not thinking about jade rolling the crap out of them so you can, they can suck up all that bad energy. You know what I'm saying? Like so like think about those clients that make you happy and ones that because you want to duplicate those. I always think about one of my clients, Dara. She was absolutely wonderful. And every time I think about like multiplying one of my clients, I always wanted it to be her because she was so amazing and she would buy whatever, she would do whatever, she was down for it all. And so I tried to duplicate her. And so think about that, okay? And then lastly, alignment means cutting what doesn't serve you. Alignment means cutting what doesn't serve you. When you are aligned with your business with what serves you, what makes you happy, what brings you peace, you are going to, your long-term vision is just, oh my gosh, there's a, now of course we're Christians, right? And so God-fearing women, of course, with God, we have peace in every single thing we do. I don't know, there was a painting that they demonstrated somewhere in church, I think it was. And it was this like, what does peace look like? And it was like the storm was happening around them. And then there was just a bird with a bird nest and little babies just sitting there peacefully. And that's what the peace that we have in God is. But we also have to remember that God gives us the ability to slow that storm. He helps us with the ability to stop it, to not make us feel like we have to deal with the storm. So I hope that makes sense. I saw a chat. Let me see. You said, haha. Yeah, really. But okay, so think about something you guys can do is think about what is draining you. Identify habits that don't align with your future goals. Ooh, okay, your habits all day. You can tell me your goals, and I'm super excited for you. Show me your habits, and I know where you're trying to go. Show me what you do on a regular basis, and I can tell you if you're going to get there or not. And the thing is, I have worked with so many estheticians. And the thing is, the same thing I see all the time with these estheticians that if they're willing to suck really bad to figure out what works for them, what works for their business, their family, their lifestyle, all these things, they're willing to suck. They're going to make it a little bit longer. They're going to keep going because they're going to identify what works and what doesn't work. So your exercise would be creating something that to keep, cut, or change. So this could be your current routine. Maybe you're somebody who doesn't have a tons of energy in the morning and you're like, oh my gosh. Well, maybe look at what your diet looks like, your exercises look like. Because let me tell you, your mental health, this brain up here, this is where your business starts and ends up here. Okay. So maybe we got to check in on our mental health. Maybe that's something you have to move towards so that you can truly align with what's happening in your business. Maybe we need Bible time in the morning, okay? And that's going to give us our energy. I'm telling you, if you wake up in the morning, gosh, I used to ask God every single day. I should probably do it again. Like, God, please give me some spiritual energy, especially when I had like a newborn or I was just getting used to getting up to go to the gym at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Please give me some spiritual energy. Whatever it is, look at your routine. Is there something you can change? Maybe instead of scrolling on TikTok while you're going to the bathroom, you spend that time sending text messages out to your clients. Okay. They don't need to know that. Obviously, you don't be like, hey, I'm using the bathroom. Thought I'd message you. But like for real. So look at your routine and see what that looks like. Does anybody have any habits they think they would want to change? That they want to share? Anybody? I honestly think
I got one.
you got one. Share it with me. I want to hear.
No more Taco Bell. I need to eat healthier. I love Taco Bell.
Those chalupas do it for me though.
Definitely
I haven't
scrolling
talked about
at
them forever, but I love it.
Ebony said definitely scrolling at night and morning. I need to exercise. I like Taco Bell
Workout
better. I love Taco Bell. Workout every morning, be safe.
every day.
Yep, definitely waking up early and having dedicated prayer and gym time. We should do this and we should talk about this in the chat. I agree. I want to wake up and walk before I scroll.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Something my husband actually does is he has this little table that's far away from his our bed. And that's where he puts his phone at night because he was catching himself scrolling. I'm that girl that like I'm so tired at the end of the day. I will just lay my phone down and pass out. But he has to put his phone away. He's like, I can't. Now he got one of those like real alarm clocks. Um, he doesn't wake up. And I was like, dude, I can't do this. Anyways, so he got a real alarm clock next to the bed. But definitely that's always helpful. Removing whatever the issue is out of your life. Um, somebody a long time ago, somebody told me, like, especially when you're like trying to change what your food intake looks like or something like that, is that every decision you make, you can literally go, oh, what was that? Sorry, guys. It was like, you can decide every decision is a decision basically. So you don't have to, you can take a second to think about that decision. And even if you do choose, say like Taco Bell, it doesn't mean that the next day you have Taco Bell. It doesn't mean like the rest of the day is just shot with eating. Or to say you miss the gym in the morning. Maybe this is something I did. I was significantly heavier when I became a solo. And I didn't want to go to the gym, but I walked around my building between a client. If I didn't have, because I was new, so I didn't have a lot of clients. So I'd walk around my building or inside because it was really, sun was really hot just to get steps in. Or I would like make sure I was like packing my lunch, if that makes sense. But definitely the dedicated prayer time was a game changer. Something that really helped me too is if you're somebody who like struggles with getting up earlier to do prayer time, then do the gym, is just take 15 minutes to walk on the treadmill and like read your Bible on your phone or do a devotional while you're sitting there or where you're walking. Seriously, it's like a game changer because you can kind of knock them out both out. Or pray without ceasing, because it's you can literally just pray whenever you think about it. I made a big change to pray when I get out before I get out of the car, and it's just a game changer. But I love these habits, guys. These are so good. You're changing these habits. Okay, let's move on to the next one. All right, so let's talk about systems for success. Okay. So systems at the end of the day are what's going to significantly help you. Oops, significantly help you with like not burning out constantly. Okay. And it might take a second to figure out what those systems look like. It could even be a system, could literally be something that is like you have a marketing plan that every single week you just do it, right? That could be a system. It could be just establishing and not being all over the place when you're thinking about, okay, what should I do? What should I post on Monday? Well, maybe Monday is the day that you posted a meme. That's actually what I do on Mondays. So you guys will see that on my Instagram today. But maybe, Tuesdays are a day that you call your clients. Like every single day is a different thing. That could be systems. And basically, it's a structure that supports your goals. You also could think about systems in the sense of what does it look like for you to like create an email system or follow-up system that's automatic, or maybe you're having like, for instance, I do a lot of freebies for my students, for really anybody who's around me. If you want a freebie, I always got one. So I have a full system that happens once you get the freebie, you get some emails, and I follow up with you, right? So think about stuff like that. So I want you to even think about like your pre-booking systems, your retention plans. What does your retention system look like? Like in the sense of maybe you have follow-up emails that automatically go out, but then once a week or once a month, you follow up to get people to come back. Maybe you have a system of like, okay, I text somebody this day, then 3 days later, maybe I give them a call, and you have that kind of system. Um, but also think about like your actual booking system. So not just like your payment operating system, not just like your Gloss Genius Figaro, but what does it look like after they book? So say they book a service and maybe they have to prepare their skin for their service or something like that. Do you have automatic things that go out to them so that you don't actually have to do it? That's just automatically done. Because once you start automating more or replacing what you do, then you have a lot more time to do other things, right? It's even like think about like delegation. I mean, it's silly, but like I have an automated vacuum thing. You know how much time I save not vacuuming my house? Like so much time, right? I can do so much other things. So think about that in the same way. Like what automated things can you do to help you like actually provide yourself systems so that you can be more successful? And then I want you to think about like reviewing your marketing system. So do you have a set schedule for email campaigns? Because guys, emails are not dead. Okay. Emails are out here. So what are you doing with like social media? What about Google business updates? Are you, weekly or monthly updating your Google business so that Google business still knows that you exist? But also that people can see like, okay, she's open this time, or because it's like the worst when you go to see if someone's open, like on a holiday and like a restaurant or whatever, and it says they're open, and then you get there and it's not. It's the worst. But anyways, definitely having something where you're updating continuously. And what does that system look like? Okay. And then think about also client experience upgrades. Now, an upgrade maybe you could think about would be like an add-on. What does your system look like for asking about add-ons? Do you have it automatically set up in your booking system where it prompts them to like go ahead and book something alongside of what they already have booked, right? Something I love, like people are automatically, or sorry, some people are already there, like booking that service. they're already willing to spend money. Is there something else that they could potentially add on that would sound really nice, right? Maybe doing a relaxation facial, be like, I want to do a jelly, maybe a jelly mask would go wonderful with it. You just made like 25 extra bucks, 30 extra bucks, whatever you charge for the jelly mask. Okay. But also think about touch points. Client experience is a massive part of loyalty, a massive part of why people come back, right? I come back to something because it makes me feel safe. I feel comfortable. I enjoyed it. It was relaxing, whatever it is. Like, what does that look like? I remember I've talked about, I think I talked about this with my students the other day. Maybe it was you guys. So sorry in advance. But a touch point I always love to do is the very first time the client came in was I would write them a handwritten letter. And I would say, thank you so much for like coming in and talking to me. I always took notes during the service. So I would know like if they told me where they worked or if they had boyfriend issues or whatever. And I would make a reference to that in the letter. And that was so nice, but also follow-ups. If it's their first time in, can you call them and tell like, hey, how does your skin feel? How are your lashes? Like, do you remember what we talked about when we talk about cleaning them? Make sure there's nothing crazy that you're doing after Brazilian. Like, what are you doing? Like, walk them through those extra touches because there's definitely a difference between having an automated message and having a personal touch. You just have to make sure you're kind of evening those out. There's definitely certain times where those are more important than not. Okay. There's a bug. I think I just saw, before I move on to the thing, I think I just saw a chat.
Do you have any tips when calling clients to get back in? Like conversation wise, I don't want to also feel like I'm begging. Maybe I'm in my head.
Um, Definitely think about trying to like a mindset shift with it. And maybe realize that like, hey, it's like it's totally normal. I can't even think how many times where I've had people call me back like, hey, you haven't been in a while. Do you want to, come back in? Maybe start with a text message at first if it makes you a little nervous. So start with a text message and you could always say like, hey, like genuinely, just be genuine. Like, hey, I realize you haven't been in 3 months. I miss you. I want to hear maybe they gave you some good tea a few months ago. I want you to come back in. Maybe you could also always do it like, for this week only, and you could literally only do it for the people that you're following up with. For this week only, I'm doing like free dermaplane with every service, something like that. And if they don't respond to the text, I would definitely follow up with a call and then make what you said in the text message, just say it with your voice. So she answers or he answers like, hey, I'm actually just checking in on you. I haven't seen you in a while. I want to, see what was going on. Are you okay? And I just want to follow up with you about this. And now you can always leave a voicemail. And then I would definitely follow up with a text saying like, hey, I just left you a voicemail. Does that answer that question, or do you want me to go into more depth about it? But just try to make it as natural. Like, think about them as like, you're not a receptionist, right? So you want to like talk to them like they're like a person, like you're human.
She
Good,
said,
thanks.
good,
Okay.
good, thanks.
Okay, cool. Oh, Ebony, you said you had a question 5 minutes ago. My bad, dog. I
That's
just saw
okay. I'm here. I think this kind of piggybacks off of um I believe I had a similar question like this last week, but I think the biggest struggle, like when you were talking about automating things, like that's wonderful and beautiful, but I think what happens is with our booking system sometimes, and even if we are using email marketing, there are some limitations with that.
Mhm.
So like it will be great if someone has something to share in regards to like these systems kind of integrating with each other. So like for example, I know someone brought up like Vagaro or something like that, but for an esthetician who might just be starting out or something like that, and they need to keep, things pretty, be cost effective. Like I don't know if anyone has anything to share, because like if we have a booking system, a lot of times these booking systems can run reports for us, so it can say, okay, you haven't seen these these people in the past 6 months or whatever, and run a report for that, right? And while some of these systems may or may not have a marketing aspect to it, there may be limitations on that. So for, specifically like mine, I can only send an email or a text message like every 7 days, right? So like ideally, it would be nice to be able to grab that report because I can put it in like a CVS to get at least the email addresses, but like I also use MailChimp, right? And like MailChimp, you have to put these tags and things of that nature on it for them to be able to group it. You can't just send this group of people an email some kind of way. I don't know if I hope I'm making sense. I don't know if I'm making sense or
No,
not.
you are. You're
Okay.
making sense because that was actually what I was going to recommend. If you're not at the place where you can maybe do something that like of a higher caliber in the sense of like automation, doing something like that where you can basically export to a CSV and then import it. Something you could always do if say you're doing like a tag, right? And you're like, I'm following up with these people this, this month. You could always put the tag as like, July, whatever retention follow up or something. Like make that tag so it's like definitive, like who didn't follow up, who you're following up with, and then send those emails out. If you're able to make an email campaign, say in like Mailchimp, for them, and then you may just have to manually go in as soon as they book to make sure they're not getting it anymore. In stuff like ConvertKit, you can always, and I'm not sure if Mailchimp does it, but in like ConvertKit, you can like tag somebody. So do the same thing, make a CSV and put it in there, tag them, and then you can always like, if they click this link or something, it'll tag them and it can remove them from a series. It can add them to a new series. It just can be some manual work that you may have to do in the front end. And even just double checking to make sure things are happening. Because obviously, typically in a sense, you would want it to be like if they booked, it removes them from a situation, right? It moves them from an email campaign or whatever. But until that, there might just be some manual things, or if that feels like a lot to you, maybe just stick with like pulling up that report and then you just texting them manually,
Mhm.
taking like, every Wednesday or once a month or something, you sit down and you do the retention of like texting and calling them that day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that can even seem like a daunting task too. So it's
That
like
can be
if
a
you're
lot too.
yeah, if you're trying to like automate something, and I'm also asking too because I have a cousin who is trying to get into like AI, and she's like, "Hey, I'm not working right now. Do you need help with anything? Let me know how I can help and automate certain stuff for you." So I'm trying to give her all of these factors, but I'm like, I don't know systematically what could be utilized in order to automate these things. So if we come up with something, I will share it with the group because I just feel like some
Yeah,
of
right
these
now there's
systems
not.
have been in place so that eh, they can get the maximize the benefit of it being utilized. Because I mean, for me, it just doesn't make sense in certain areas. For I don't know, it just gets confusing sometimes, and I'm like, oh my god, if I could run these several campaigns like automated, like on a weekly or bi-weekly situation, that would be amazing. But it doesn't fully work like that for real.
No, I get it. It's super. I think Mango Man. I think that's like the only service that actually has something like that, and it's expensive. Now, something that I did do before I even knew about any of like automation or anything like that, I actually hired my friend. I would pay her like $10 an hour, and I would hire her for like I don't know, a few hours, and I would ask her to call or text or follow up, and I would basically make her sound like she was my employee, and she had somewhat of like a script where she would
Mhm.
follow up with people, and it was her job to sit down and do that. And so that for me was worth every bit of it because she was using like I had a different phone number for my spa at the time, and so she was using like that, and so that was very helpful. So until I mean, it just sucks because there's really not tons of services out there that do that. I wish there was. It can be very frustrating, but yeah, you might have to just manually do it, or maybe since your friend has some time, she can do it.
Well, yeah, so that's why I said I'll share, but I feel like I'm probably not the only person who struggles with that. So I
Yeah,
just kind of wanted to bring it to light, and I don't know if anyone else has anything to share, but if we come up with something that might be a good magical thing that I can share with other people. So, all
girl,
right.
please let us know.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and, unless there's anything else in the chat, we're gonna go ahead and move to the next one. All right, let's go about faith-led planning. Okay. So let's talk about how to invite God into your decisions and goals. I want you to ask yourself, what would I do differently? And when I wrote this, I was like, oh my gosh, because this was a hard one for me. What would I do differently if I trusted that God has already made room for me to succeed? Like, what would I do differently if I already knew, if I trusted God enough to where I was like, God's going to let me succeed? Like, I'm following him, I'm praying over this, I'm doing all the things. Like, if I actually let God lead and I'm not building from a place of fear, from a place of comparison, I'm not building from a lack of abundance, what would I do differently? And I might have said this before, but I literally tell my husband, whenever like he was looking for jobs before he got this current one, he's like, I'm so nervous. And I was like, Jesus is right there with you. He's the best partner that you could have. You hold on to his hand and you walk in there with confidence. So if we could be people of like that, we put all of our strength and all of our doubt and fear into God, like just give it to him, let him take it. He will power us to lead, to be able to perform the things that we want to do, right? From a place of him. And so I just like encourage you when you're thinking about anything you want to do in your business, before you start setting these things, before you start doing them, take a second to truly pray over those goals, especially the ones where you have the financial ones, right? Pray over like everything that you would do in your business. A long time ago, I made a reel that was like, I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was just like, I'm an esthetician. Of course, I'm gonna like ask you to wear sunscreen, whatever. Well, I did. I'm a Christian esthetician, and I was like, of course, I'm gonna pray over your towels. Praying over like all the things in your business is going to help you move more into a place of abundance. Because when you think about it, like, are you building from peace? Are you building from a place of like joy where you get to do this, where you're excited because you get to do God's work, even as an esthetician? I mean, I don't know if you guys, there's a song called Everything, but it's like everything you do, do it through him. And it's really what it is like remembering that he's making room for us to succeed. He already knows the stupid things we're going to do. He already knows our lack, right? But that's where he fills in. So when you think of like faith-led planning, make sure that you are coming from a place of peace and not panic. If you feel overwhelmed and anxious and stressed, maybe take a second, maybe read your Bible for a second and come back. Okay. So some like prayers that you could think of is a prayer of gratitude for what God has already done in your life. Especially if you're in a place where your business is not doing well, or you're really, really struggling, pray from a place of gratitude, gratefulness. I know always start at a place of thankfulness, thanksgiving, especially I don't know if you guys like the Lord's Prayer. We start with like acknowledging him, and then we move into thanking. And so like thanking and giving that gratitude when it comes to what's happening in our business and our life, even when it's been hard. Okay. Then pray for clarity, specific, like be very specific, because you'll be very, very like aware when God starts removing things. I saw over a TikTok or reel the other day that was like, I prayed for God to remove all the bad things in my life that like wasn't him, take everything out that wasn't him. He said, I've had the worst 3 months of my life since I've started praying that prayer. But that guy is being able to have all that removed from him. So praying for clarity on what to focus this year so you can truly see what the vision of God is. And Maria, did you want to say something?
No, I thought that was funny. I was laughing.
Oh, it's true though, but it's like sometimes we ask so specifically and we're like, God, why? But it's all working through him, okay? And then maybe pray for some peace, especially if you're suffering in that. If you're in a place where you can't necessarily see joy in everything, pray for that. Pray for favor over your clients in work, especially that client that kind of sucks. But pray for them. There was this trend for a while, it was just like, I bet she never thinks about me. And then like the esthetician would be like, I wonder how Susan's doing, how her wedding was. I wonder what her boyfriend, whatever. But like if someone needs prayer, pray over even if you're just during the service and you're struggling with that energy, they're like just, I mean, I don't know if you raise your hand, but like I've had clients where I come in and I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? Like you walk in, you could feel them. Sometimes during that service, you just have to pray over them. Okay. But anyways, maybe they don't, silently if you have to, but basically think of faith-led planning as something that you do, I would say really at the forefront before you choose to do something. Ask God, maybe you're that lucky one where God's like, do it, right? In his super, super manly voice is what I assume it sounds like. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not like that. And you're like, what's happening? Maybe it's in the silence. Maybe it's in your thoughts, your motives. But if it's not from a place of joy, peace, abundance, love, patience, it's probably not God. Okay. Something that is, obviously pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, that may be God. But I'm just saying, if it's something that may make you do silly things, so not God. But anyways, anybody have anything to say about faith-led planning? I really enjoyed that one. If you do, please put it in the chat. All right, so we're going to do action plan for the first 90 days. So if a year feels overwhelming, if you're like, I cannot plan for a year, okay, let's just start with the next 90 days. So make it into really manageable quarters and focus on what matters the most first. That's something when you're moving that needle, you want to move the thing that matters the most first, right? So when you are thinking about it being overwhelming, I want you to focus on a primary focus over the next 3 months. And say your overall, like overarching is maybe you're like for instance, for my current business, at the first 3 months, I was like, I'm figuring this out. Okay. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to kind of throw things out the wall, see what's happening, see what people want, and see what I can do. And now I'm in this space of like just duplicating. Okay. And so when you are thinking about your business, think about it like maybe these next 3 months, I need to focus on really getting my systems in place. Maybe I'm getting clients in all the time and it's like super easy, but I can't get them to stay. Or maybe you're not doing any of that. And you're like, I need to figure out how to get clients to come in. Okay. So break that down. So I want you to choose one main focus. Maybe that's increasing retention. Maybe you're launching something signature. Maybe you're like, my retail sales are not great, but you want them to be. That would be something that you could then make your goal. Okay. Then after that, I want you to plan month by month. Okay. So month 1, month 2, month 3. So maybe month 1 would be prep and organize. So maybe you're updating your pricing. Maybe you're starting to plan promotions. This is a time if you're going to do like a Black Friday sale or Christmas sale or a New Year sale or something, this is a time you really need to start focusing on that. Okay. And then month 2, maybe it's maybe you're going to market. Maybe now you kind of understand what your primary focus is for the next 3 months. You're prepping that. And now you can put into, okay, what kind of push am I doing? Am I doing launches? Am I going out into the community? This is a great time to do vendor events. Maybe you want to meet more people. Maybe you're building your confidence in something. So making sure that you are getting out there, maybe that could be your next month. Okay. And then maybe month 3, and definitely month 3 for sure, is refine and assess. So you're at the end of your month 3, you're at the end of the quarter, and you're like, okay, let's see what I did good. Like, what did I do really well in? What did I not do really well in? Or what did I not enjoy? What scared me? Like what was happening? And this was, side note, this was something when I was like first building my business and I needed $300 by Friday. And you might be like, oh, it's Monday. That's not a big video because it was Monday at the time. But I had like no clients. And I remember like it was on my heart like forever to be a solo. And I was like, God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm working. Nobody's booking. No one's doing something. No one's doing anything. And I literally on Thursday, I got like a check from somewhere that was, I forget what it was exactly $300. And I'm telling you this because I was able to trust God in that moment of being scared. But I remember at the end of that quarter, when I did that, like refine and that assessment, I looked back, I'm like, what was wrong in that week? Like, what did I do incorrectly? Because the next week I was getting clients in, the next week I was getting clients in. And so I want you to think about like, one, first of all, in the whole month is trust God that he's going to supply. He's going to provide. He's going to give you that thought that that idea, and that then God, he's going to give you the purpose, and he's going to provide. Okay. And then I want you to figure out on your own what was working for you and what just kind of didn't, and then change it. Okay. And I want you to then think about your first 90-day plan. I want you to have one main goal and then 3 supporting actions. So what, if you guys don't mind, please put in the chat or go live and do your little thing. But what could be a goal that you could have in the next month? Like what would excite you for the next month? Next, I guess 3 months, 90 days, sorry. Anybody?
You guys are also welcome to turn on your mics.
Yeah, let me know.
I'm just gonna chime in and say I think this is all great, and it's a lot to think about and to process. Um, I was a person who said my goal is to make some goals. And it's not as if I don't have any. I think sometimes it's just information overload a lot of times, and then just being able to sit down and like map it all out, like having that actual like processing time and implementation time. And I guess maybe that is the goal, to do the implementation, to do the planning and the
Yeah, absolutely.
implementation of the goal setting. So I feel like I have at least like 5 projects on my plate that I need to tend to, and it's hard to get them all done, especially like being a small business owner and being a mom and all of those things. So it's really just trying to like plan it out and implement it, and get on a schedule of completion so I can get these things off of my plate.
No, absolutely. I love that. That's literally why I talk about that needle. It's like a small thing. It's like when you're able to see what the big goal is, okay. Well, you honestly, what you could always do, and something I've actually done that helped me significantly. Let me see if I have it. I might not have it anymore. But whenever I was doing something, I was so overwhelmed with like, oh my gosh, I have all this I have to do. And it was just like, I don't even like, I would get to the place where I'm like, let me go do it. And then I was like, I don't even know where to start. Right. I put into Chat GPT and I was like, his name's Raul. I was like, Raul, I need your help. And I put in there and I was like, this is my end goal. This is what I want. And then I was like, I'm going to tell you all the things that I need to do to get there. I just literally sat down for like 30 minutes and I typed in everything. I did on my computer because it was just faster for me. I did it, everything I put it in there. And then I said, I need you to put this in a checklist. I need you to organize it, by whatever. And so I wish I could find it, and so he did. And it was the most magical thing because I could literally then start at the top and like, okay, I can get this done. Check. I can get this done. And it was so helpful because I gave him a timeline too. Like I need this done by this time frame. Because sometimes we just got a brain dump and just be like, okay, I need to do this. And ChatGPT just lays it out for you. It's so nice because you don't have to think about it.
I will say one of my goals, so one of the things that I did do like at the end of last year was I met with a friend of mine and we set some goals for ourselves, and then we'll just do like these touch points throughout the year. And one of my goals was to incorporate Chat GPT more into my business, and it just frees up so much time. So I actually just used it this past weekend for one of the projects that I'm working on, and it's glorious. It really
Oh
is.
my
Like
gosh.
Chat
Yes.
GPT is bae. Like
Like he is that person. Like seriously, that's why I named him because I was like, I feel dirty not giving you a name. Like I feel like I'm just abusing you. Like let's talk. I love that. Yes, just use it as much as you can. Something I can say about ChatGPT is if you can upload your Instagram captions, emails you've sent, I mean text messages. I will even take my podcast that I create and upload like the transcript. So I'm like, this is how I talk.
Mhm.
Like this is the things that I do. This is the things that I want. And then over time, especially if I pay like it's like $20 a month or whatever, and you get so much more with it. But like he just becomes this like extra person. It's like an extra brain. And it's
Yeah.
so magical because I literally, guys, right now my parents are watching my daughter, but I literally work 2 hours a day during my daughter's nap time. I couldn't imagine having to like write some things, right? Or like having an extra brain when I need to come up with something quickly. He's so helpful. So unless yours is a lady. But anyways, I love that.
Yeah, I literally had I was planning an event and I needed certain things to happen at certain times, and they were getting like these mini treatments, and there was like this educational piece to it, and I literally sat there and mapped it out myself. It took me like 45 minutes, and by the time I realized that I could have used ChatGPT, I had finished already, and I'm like, "Oh
Mhm.
my God, let me put all of these pieces into ChatGPT." Within 30 seconds, it literally mapped out the same exact thing that I had done.
It's magic. It's truly like, and the thing is, I think we all need to remember is that if we don't understand or start learning AI and ChatGPT, we're going to be left behind because in reality, there's no way that just like you said, it took you 45 minutes when it took ChatGPT 30 seconds. Now, I'm not saying like 100% go all in with ChatGPT. All I'm saying is use it to help you. Make sure that you're still a human, that you are still presenting yourself because people still are going to notice if you're a robot. So you want to make sure you're still utilizing yourself, but definitely using it as a means to like help you get somewhere faster. So, oh, I love that, guys. That's so good. Okay, so we're moving to the next one. So let's talk about wrap up and homework. Okay. So, final reflection. If I fully believe God is in control, how would I run my business differently this year? And this is actually something I have struggled with a lot in my life. Um, that when you're just like, trust God, and I'm just like, sometimes I just don't. And I'm just very stressed out, and I will reach out to God, and I'm like, yo, please, what's happening? And because he's my friend. And sometimes I feel like it's hard to trust God. But if we truly like continue to like, even when we don't, and let him know, like, hey, I'm not trusting you right now. Like, what's happening? Like, help me, please. You will be so surprised by your vulnerability is like knowing that he is there. Okay. So, how would you run your business differently if you believed truly with your whole heart, believe that God is in control? So, I know Ebony did a great job of explaining this is a lot. I know this is a lot of overwhelming, and planning can feel overwhelming. Oh, like, oh my gosh. Definitely completing some type of vision board and making it simple. Like, people want crazy like vision boards, but honestly, y'all, I mean, just some basic things. Put it together so you understand. Maybe you're like, I want to be debt free. Write it down, hang it up. Okay. Maybe you're like, I want to hit this. Put something that helps you track because a tracked goal grows. Okay. A tracked goal grows. So when you're able to track something, it is very, very helpful because you'll be like, okay, I see this. I remember when I was trying to hit certain numbers, I had a binder that every single day after a service, I would like color off a square that was for $1,000 or like whenever I hit $1,000, right? I would color off a square. And that right there was like so exciting for me. Like I'm somebody who loves to check off things and have goals and whatnot. So that was very helpful. Set your first quarter goals. If we know our year vision, how can we break that down into quarters? And then, of course, pray over your goals and surrender them. Give them to God and tell him, like, God, I know it's in your place, it's in your being that you're going to make this happen or not, but I'm going to work towards it. And remember, is God makes it happen, but we have to work alongside of him. It's not just like, okay, here we go. Do it, God. Like, yes, he's going to be like, we have to do it together. He is our friend that walks alongside of us. He is our father that is there. So we want to make sure that we're praying alongside of everything and surrendering them all to God. So honestly, I would just say spend some time and pray, like praying over your business and inviting God into your plans. Because he does, while he is there, he's omnipresent, right? He is there all the time. He still probably wants that invitation, put me in it, put him in it and see just what your business will look like. But I think we hit our last ones. All right, guys, I'm gonna stop share. That is all of my side of things. I hope this was all super helpful. Um, yeah. Okay, Maria, it's all you.
I found that so powerful. I feel like you finished it perfectly. If I fully believed God was in control, how would I run my business differently this year? That is such a powerful takeaway. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this series. There is a lot to digest for sure. Um, I hope you guys feel inspired and at least busy-minded, but clear-minded, if that makes sense. Do you wanna open up for any questions? Do you guys need any help? I can't see the chat. If not, then the replay does get sent out via newsletter. Hopefully you guys are receiving it, and it is inside of our YouTube.
I do have a question. So, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I think I missed one of these, and then just going back, and my plan is to go back and review all of them so that I can actually like put some things in motion because I have not put any actionable steps behind it. I guess my ask is, could I, once I get all of that done, can I still reach out to you ladies if there are, questions and some guidance needed in all of this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, you're always able. That's why I always mention my Instagram, because if you ever need to like chat or something, we can just DM, and I also voice memo a lot on there. So if you ever want like that real talk, it's Estheticians in Business. If you're not already following me. That's honestly the best way to communicate with me. You can always do emails as well, but yeah, gross.
I'll drop
So
your link again. One second. Let me
thank
find
you.
it. I'm putting the link in the chat for you guys to follow her.
Thank
And
you.
then also we do have the Proverbs 31 chat that you guys are welcome to ask questions in as well.
Thank you. Camille said thank you. This was so inspiring. And Monty said this has been really great. Thank you so much. And thank you guys. Honestly, I went into this, I actually prayed over this because I was like, well, I'm really gonna get into it, God. Let's see what happens.
Right.
And
I'm
I was
gonna
like,
put
okay.
the chat in the link invite. Let me see. Copy chat. Copy. Boom boom. There we go.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Maria, for putting this all together in the forefront. So grateful I got to do all this with you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Bye.